What's going wrong at Wycombe Wanderers? So 6 games, 6 defeats for Bloomfield's men, and questions that had subsided after a strong start of the season have re-emerged. So I wanted to take a look at Wycombe Wanderers currently because for many people, we see this as short-term problems going wrong now. But I want to recontextualise this because at the end of the day, the Wycombe Wanderers are one that are vastly, vastly overachieving, even fighting for promotion based on our history, financial base, supporter base. And we have increased expectations. I would even argue toxic expectations compared to where we are in reality. Like, for many of us, including me, I grew up purely under the Ainsworth and now Bloomfield era Wycombe Wanderers. But less than half a decade ago, we secured not only survival in the EFL, but likely survival as a football club with a last day miracle at Torquay in 2014. There was bankruptcy issues back in 2012 where we had to sell off the academy. We were under trust ownership until 2019, and during that period we had to sell and release our training ground. We had to heavily fundraise in the community to be able to sign players like Scott Cashett. And we even had Gareth Ainsworth buying gear and items for training out of his own pockets. At the time, Alex Samuels, who was a really, really important player for us, was on something like £300 a week because that's what we could offer him. Only in 2016 could we even pay off outstanding debt to our ex-owner Steve Hayes due to a sell-on clause inserted into Jordan Ibe when he moved to Liverpool. And okay, so new owners come in, so the new owners, they'll be able to fund us, surely. No. Even with the Coegs takeover in 2019, we were still vast financial underdogs in League One. The Coegs estimated worth, as far as I can tell, is about 1 to 5 million. I'd put it a bit more, about 4 or 5 million. But even being generous and saying that is mental. We are competing against clubs like Wigan Athletic, for example, whose owners are worth 1.6 billion. Or Bristol Rovers owners, who are worth 550 million, over 10 times the Coegs. They don't have the money to pump into new training grounds, into new facilities, into new players. They don't. Yes, they can invest a certain amount, but it's not going to be wild like other clubs. It's not going to be like Wrexham, for example. We just don't have the cash flow from our owners. But then what about attendance? Now, Dan Clark, love him to bits, really, really sound per head, posted a statistic on Twitter saying that we had the 21st lowest attendance in League One this year. An average of just 4,766. But in context, that would place us 15th in League Two and would only be 4th in the Vanarama National League. We don't have the supporter base to compete where a lot of us want to compete in the traditional sense. For us, for example, 100k and Luke Lee, fantastic signing, but that was mental for us spending that amount of money on a player. Other clubs in League One and even in League Two can spend that and not really care. They can do that multiple times a season. They can do it maybe once or twice in December, once or twice in summer, and it's a bit of spare pocket money. For us, that's a large investment. And now, it's worked out with Luke, but do you understand how it's difficult? Because that was our one and only. We're not getting another chance at that 100k transfer fee. We probably won't. Not in January, and I don't imagine maybe in next summer. They can justify it, but as well as that, we feel aggrieved by our ticket prices. It is frustrating, especially with the cost of living crisis. But especially as well, the club shop, it is outrageous. But when you consider that the difference in financial income from our team compared to other teams just in League One, it becomes more understandable why the club's hierarchy would implement those. We do have a small but dedicated fan base that would be willing to pay that and be willing to buy that. So it brings in more money in the door. But just for an example, Derby County have the highest average attendance in the league. So I just did a little thought experiment. This doesn't include season tickets, for example. So the cheapest Derby County ticket is £21. They get more expensive, obviously. But they get an average of 26,000 fans per game. Do the math, and that's £546,000 coming in the door just from tickets alone. That's not including food, that's not including merchandise, and those 26,000, they're going to get a pie, maybe they're going to go to the club shop and buy a jersey, or they've bought jerseys already. Compare that to Wycombe. we get, as I said, 4,766. Our cheapest ticket is the Terrace, which is £18 for I've done adults. Don't forget we get less because we have young adult, mid adult. We would get from our average attendance just 85,000. That's a massive, massive, massive financial gap. And that's only one single match. Imagine how that would just keep rolling on over the course of, 23 games at home? You're talking about potentially millions, tens of millions of income that we're simply not getting compared to the bigger teams in League One. But these are the teams that we're expecting to compete against. There's only so far we can go with work rate, with smart recruitment. Let's be real. We saw it with Ipswich last year. They had 2 seasons where they spent a lot of money. They spent, I believe, like $1 million on Leif Davies. And in the end, they were just able to walk the league because they had the players, they had the financial backing, they had the support, they had the owners who were able to contribute financially. Derby County have done the same. They're able to spend, even in the midst of a rough patch, financially, because they have 26,000 people coming in and out every week. We don't have that. And it's difficult to ask us to compete or to expect us to compete against these teams when they just have so many more financial resources. Let's not even talk about the fan difference, because let's be real, fan atmosphere at Wycombe Wanderers has been poor at home. It's actually pretty good away because it's the dedicated ones going, but at home it can be pretty bad. I was watching yesterday and the loudest thing I heard was the boo at half time. So obviously the 1887 they're doing good work and trying to alleviate that, but it's not an overnight thing. It's not going to happen today, it's not going to happen tomorrow, it's not going to happen next month. It's a long-term project, that one. The B Team project has come a little way in trying to bridge this gap financially, but it's still largely in its early stages. I believe Brentford did it from 2016, and it took them till 2020 to really start seeing the success and fruit of that. But also, don't forget, Brentford won the Championship. They had more money from Championship revenue money, so also they're a bigger fan base. London-based club. Even though we're adopting the same sort of idea, it's going to be different. It's going to be more difficult for us. Like, Anish Mehmeti left for a club record fee, $1 million, whatever it was. But he's been the only one so far. Obviously, there was rumours about Christopher Joseph leaving. But he's been the only sale. And while it was great to get that money into the bank, it actually just went into paying off debt we had accrued. Because we've been overspending. Not overspending, but we've been spending money to try and catch up. Guys like Sam Vokes, guys like Gareth McCleary, Obita, Wing. But the B Team project is not coming close to bridging that gap. It's a lovely thing. I love it to bits. I prefer that way, and we're seeing the rewards. Christopher Joseph, TJ DeBar, Jasper Pattenden, got ones like Declan Skura looks really, really good. But it's not there yet at bridging that financial gap. And let's even look at the club's history. A lot of other clubs around us have long, storied histories. We've got clubs that 10 years ago were in the Premier League. Portsmouth, for example, when I grew up watching Premier League football, Portsmouth and Fratton Park was a stalwart Premier League stadium to me. Blackpool, for example, only in it for a season or two, but still Premier League money, Premier League clubs, Premier League fan bases. Last year's finish, 11th, disappointed many people. It did. It really, really disappointed people. We were in promotion form. Obviously, we lost Mehmeti, we lost Alfie Mawson, we lost Ainsworth. For many people, 11th was disappointing. That was our 5th best finish ever in the English football leagues. We had one back in the 1980s. Then obviously we had the promotion season, the championship season, which still counts. And then we had the playoffs the season, 21-22. 5th ever best finish, and we were disappointed with it. That's insane to me. It's easy to get caught up in emotions. Oh, we should have done better. But our 5th ever best finish, and we were disappointed with it. Let's be frank. Ainsworth performed miracles with us. Taking us to the championship, even keeping us in the EFL was a fucking miracle. But the problem was, when we got promotion, then we nearly stayed in the championship, and we got promotion playoffs again. expectations were put much, much higher. But these expectations are not realistic in any sense of the form. They're not realistic. In an economic sense, in a supporter sense, in a history sense, in a player's, in any sort of sense. They're not realistic whatsoever. And that's the problem. We see fans setting these expectations high, and when they aren't by some miracle met, they're disappointed. Bloomfield's out, and all this stuff. Now, don't get me wrong, I agree we should really be pushing for these sort of things. We should be wanting to fight for promotion, but I don't think we should expect it. But this is the thing, this is not even taking in the short-term issues facing us right now, because I've talked about the long-term issues, the cash flow, the supporter base, but there's also short-term issues that are happening in the past month, in the past week, that are affecting us. We've had how many... It's an injury crisis, let's be frank. It is an injury crisis we are facing right now. And I've not seen anybody else really mention it, but I did a quick list off just quickly, so we got Luke Leahy out, got Sam Vokes out, Freddie Potts out, Hanlon out, Kane Vincent-Young out, JJ out, McCarthy out. Multiple leaders. We've got 3 or 4 regular starters there. Some of our best games were, for example, Hanlon, Dale, and Phillips front 3. Luke was, by some bizarre miracle, an insanely good centre-back and actually really crucial at how we play. JJ, McCarthy, and Vokes, really, really big team leaders. Potts, we saw yesterday, we needed somebody like Potts dictating the tempo, and that's really, actually really important. We need that sort of classic playmaker. We're not playing with 2 ball-winning fielders, 2 very hard workers. We need somebody there who's a bit more cultured. And all of those players are out. Like Hanlon, he's not coming back until 2024, summer. Vokes, who knows? Luke will hopefully be back shortly, but it's an injury crisis, and that has hit us really, really hard. We don't have 3, 4, 5 first team starters, and we're having to swap formations, we're having to swap players around, we're having to play players more than necessarily they should in order to just be competitive, and that's going to have a major impact on us. It's also happened in the hardest run of games we're probably going to have this season. Bolton, Peterborough, Portsmouth, Oxford, Stevenage, all fighting for promotion, all really, really good teams, and we played them in a quick run. And we were competitive against some of these teams. The Peterborough game, the Portsmouth game, they were annoying, but we were competitive. Stevenage, I'm not even going to mention Stevenage because it's a travesty of a game, but we were competitive. But in these games, we started to see the injuries coming in, the lack of fitness, the lack of time for some of our really important players. And let's be honest, the Cohigs don't like to say it because they're ambitious people. They always love to say we're aiming for promotion. That upset people last season when we didn't have it. They're ambitious, I respect it. This is a transition season. This is the Gaffer's first full season as a manager. First full season ever. He had, 2 months at Colchester and actually did quite well. And he had half a season at Wycombe. This will be his first ever full season as a manager, as a Gaffer. And 8, 9, 10 players went out. Long-standing players, Gape, Thompson, Wing, really, really important players. Even before that, you had Stewart, Akinfenwa leaving. We had big, big names to replace, big, big people in the changing room to replace. And we had, 8 people come in. Kane Vincent-Young, Potts, Lee, Dale, Taylor. It's a transition season. We even got a new head of recruitment, Mitchell. And we've set expectations here. Again, we want to be fighting for promotion. I think we need to be satisfied with improvement. I think we need to be satisfied with getting to grips with Ainsworth's style, getting to grips with what players are worth keeping and what players will suit the system Ainsworth wants. Blooms wants, sorry. We've seen, for example, Jasper Pattenden actually looks to suit it perhaps a bit more than Kane Vincent-Young. We've seen that somebody like Freddie Potts needs to be in that centre mid. We've seen that maybe having Vokes up front on his own isn't necessarily a good idea, but these are all things that we can look at this season and work on this season. Guys like Pep Guardiola, guys like Jose Mourinho, they came in and did it immediately, but that's why they're the best. For us, Bloomfield, I think he's a really good man manager. He's really dedicated and really hard work, and he set standards. He came out yesterday, and he simply said it's not fucking good enough. He bollocked him in the change room for about an hour by the looks of it, and that's good. But it'll take time, and I think for this season, it's disappointing. I don't like saying it because I want to be ambitious. I want to say we're going to win that, we're going to get promotion, we're going to be in Wembley. I think for this season, we just do have to be satisfied with mid-table. You know? Give us something to build on. Ipswich took 3 seasons in League One, even with their insane financial backing. Derby, who knows? This is their 2nd season. Portsmouth, Charlton, God love them. They've been down here for God knows how long. Good luck to them. But we've set expectations here, and we need to bring them down. We can't keep repeating the miracles of the past. We can't. We look at Leicester. They won the Premier League, they fought in Champions League, and the miracle ended, and they went to the Championship. Miracles are great. Miracles are lovely. We all love miracles. We love sporting miracles. We love when David beats Goliath. But 99 times out of 100, Goliath just curb stomps him. And we can't rely on miracles to work sustainably. And that's why I really am having faith in Bloomfield and the system we're creating, because I think it will be sustainable. I think the B team will start producing really, really good dividends. I think the style will. I think what we're trying to play will. But it needs time. And we can't ignore the long-term and the short-term issues. Some of you may disagree with me. I'm more than fine with that. Let me know what you think. Otherwise, have a great day, Wanderers.